All right, good afternoon, everybody. The time is now 2:07 p.m. Welcome to today's commission meeting. Today is June 26th. Madam Clerk, I think we have a quorum. I know we have a quorum. I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Yes, sir. We're proceeding.
Yes, ma'am, we are proceeding.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We would like to call your attention to the invocation portion of our agenda, which will be shared with us today by Pastor Matthew Judd, lead pastor of the Good News Baptist Church, after which we would like to ask his adorable daughter, Maddie Sue Stevens, if she would please stand and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's stand, please. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not often I get to spend time with my daughter during a commission meeting, so it's very nice. It's an honor and a privilege to be here to open with prayer. On behalf of Good News Church, I want to thank the mayor and his staff, the commissioners, our administrator and her staff, and all the department heads and the employees of the city of Augusta. Thank you for what you do. We're so grateful. You make this city a better and safer place, and to live and be here, I want to just say thank you on behalf of our church. Thank you very much. Well, let's pray. Father in heaven, I pray that in this commission meeting that you would be glorified and honored by all that occurs here. May there be an atmosphere of respect and graciousness for each other. May our leaders voice their opinions and beliefs with honesty and integrity. May they speak the truth in love. Give them wisdom for the problems that we face as a community. Help them look out for the most weak and vulnerable. May the decisions they make be in the best interest of the many and not just the few. Many blessings upon the city leaders, upon their families, upon their marriages, upon their health, and may they glorify you in all they do and say. And then finally, I want to pronounce a blessing over this city based on the words of the prophet Jeremiah. Because of your favor and goodness, we build homes and live in them. We plant gardens and eat the food that they produce. We marry and we have children, and then we find spouses for them, and that they may have many grandchildren. May we multiply and not dwindle always, and may we work together for the peace and prosperity in this city where you have placed us. I pray all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, thank you for being here. Thank you for that prayer. It's greatly received and greatly needed. Thank you so much. And thank you also for Maddie Sue.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk. Before we move on to the delegation portion of this meeting, I just want to take a point of personal privilege in that today we're celebrating with the Augusta Metro Chamber our 2025 Top 10 and 10. And these are some of the best and brightest professionals that are throughout our community that's doing a lot of great things. I'm going to call their names out. I'm going to give them a shout out. The first is Harsita Aldasani. She's with Cherry Beckett. Taylor Hanks is with Augusta Entertainment Complex. Robert Mize with Queensboro National Bank and Trust. Shanae White, Junior Achievement of Augusta. Anitra Bosley, Augusta Technical College. Jeffrey Harden is with Doctors Hospital. Ashley Rice is with AWR Agency LLC. Isaac Brenberg, Augusta University. Ricky Jones Jr. with WJBF TV. And lastly, Cassidy Veach is with Destination Augusta. If you know any of those young people, congratulate them. Tell them to keep up the great work, keep this community thriving, and we certainly appreciate them. Madam Clerk, let's move on to the delegation portion of this meeting.
Okay. You want to address the delegation, the addendum agenda? We have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We can do that. That'd
Yes,
be more
sir.
appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have it on the screen? Okay.
So there's 4 items that have been.
Our first item is Mr. Bob Duke, Redwood, regarding plan of action for the apartment complex they own in Augusta.
Okay.
Item 2 is a public safety matter to approve a change order regarding professional service for architectural design service for the new fire station number 3, Johnson, LaShober and Associates. Item number 3 is funding for operating capital and incumbents carryovers requested. Engineering, a motion to approve the emergency repairs of 2 generator radiators from American Rad Work.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, we've been presented with 4 items on the addendum. With your consent to add these, is there any objection to adding these 4 items? Madam Clerk, hearing or seeing none, these 4 items are added.
Without objection.
Without objection.
Okay.
To today's agenda.
Redwood first. Redwood, you want to get that out of the way first?
Let's do the delegation. We'll do Redwood first.
Redwood after
That's
that.
right.
Okay. Call your attention to the delegation portion of the agenda. Mr. Moses Todd, I Love Augusta, to discuss city-owned cemetery priorities and SPLOST 9 funding, legality of using SPLOST funding for federal state governments, restricted use, veteran cemetery. Note that I am a I'm a Vietnam combat veteran.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Todd, if you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, my name is Moses Todd, 2747 Deansbridge Road, Augusta, Georgia. I have with me Miss Deere, Thomasine Deere, which is a friend of Magnolia and have relatives buried in Magnolia. So we want to speak on behalf of the city-owned cemeteries today. And as I watched the special purpose local option sales tax hearing, I note that there was not a mention of the city-owned cemeteries other than Miss Commissioner Scott. And I understand that the administrators knew, the recreation directors knew, which the cemeteries come under her purview, and that may be how this happened. As you know, I've addressed this commission several times on the needs, capital outlay needs of the cemeteries. We managed to get approximately $300,000, in the special purpose local option sales tax 8, and we was promised that by the former interim administrator, that we would get approximately $6 to $10 million for capital outlay in special purpose local option sales tax 9, and with the exception of 1 or 2 commissioners, most of you was here when that discussion happened. I'm on a yield to Ms. Deere, if it's okay, my last minute, if I may, Mr. Mayor. But the bottom line is that we need assistance as far as the capital outlay for these city-owned cemeteries. 2018, former Commissioner Jerry Brigham called me, and he had some medical issues with family, and he wanted me to take over as chairman of the bicentennial. That was 2018. I took over the chairman of the bicentennial. I also, at that time, through out of Augusta, sponsored some of the activities financially because there wasn't funds budgeted for that. I think it was Mr. Parker, the Recreation Parks Director at the time, or I might have, it may be Mr. Parks. Anyway, we couldn't go out and raise money to do this function, so, I stepped up and made it happen with very little support from city government. We are a citizen committee, not a government committee appointed by this commission, and I urge this commission to appoint
2 minutes.
2 minutes, to appoint a committee to handle these situations where they perhaps get more priority or attention than they're getting through this avenue. I did talk to Ms. Williams at the South Augusta Alliance meeting about looking into ways that the cemetery can raise funds to do projects like the block party, J.R. Rouse block party. Ms. Deere, if you want to comment a second. I think we got a minute.
Yes, I'm Thomasine Deere, 117 Kings Chapel Court. Most of you know that I've been here before. I am in support of Magnolia Cemetery. It is a jewel, it's a historical place, and it looks terrible right now. It looks terrible. I've had to have one tombstone put back up. I have two that have been knocked over, not by the hurricane, but by someone, somehow. It's going in the cemetery, and there's bricks that are down on the wall. The gates are pushed open. And when I hear that we are going to think about giving $23 million for a veteran cemetery, my father's a World War II veteran, my father-in-law's a World War II veteran, I can go on and on and on in my family. However, I'm not against a veteran cemetery, but I think we need to take care of our cemeteries first. I would like to see something down there. It is very, very sad to go down there, and I go down there several times a month. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you being here today. And you're right, not only Magnolia, but Cedar Grove, Fitton Street, most of our cemeteries were devastated because of Hurricane Helene, and that's no excuse. But just this morning, we had a conversation with the Hurricane Helene support team to figure out how we could make the condition of those cemeteries better. So thank you for being here today. Mr. Todd, you had something additional you need to add?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I sincerely don't believe that 5 minutes is enough to deal with this issue. As most of the commissioners know up there, that I've sent emails out, I email everybody, the same information. And, we're coming up on the 20-year, 2037, the 20-year timeline to open up the capsules. There's supposed to be certain things we have done by then. And, the bottom line is, Mr. Mayor, if I have to run for election in 2028, I will, to make sure that this work gets done. That's how strongly I feel about it. And I definitely want to retire, go home, and enjoy my retirement. But this has just gone further than it ever should have gone. And to do a switcheroo with the veteran cemetery versus the city cemetery and lose everything that we've negotiated is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Noted. Sir, yes,
Say one more thing.
yes, ma'am, very briefly.
And Johnson, when you mentioned about the hurricane and the devastation in the cemetery, I certainly understand that. However, I have packed a packet of paperwork for 10 years that I have been contacting commissioners, contacting mayor's offices, contacting directors of recreation, been in and met with them, and nothing is ever done, nothing. And it's long before the hurricane. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Just stay there because there's a commissioner and a colleague that's in the queue. She may have some questions. Chair recognizes Commissioner Francine Scott from Midnight.
Mayor Johnson, I don't have any questions. I would just like to comment and thank you all for coming down again. I know since I've been on the commission, you come every year or twice a year to talk about the same problem that we're having at the city-owned cemeteries. And I guess I'll just wait further comments to hear your the outcome of the meeting that you said you had this morning with FEMA or GEMA about the narrative that you had about the city-owned cemeteries. And I think this is something that we, Administrator Allen, Director Williams, something that we need to put in the SPLOST 9 to make sure we have something in there for the cemeteries. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Scott. All right, thank you guys for being here. All right, Madam Clerk, we have one more delegation item.
Item number B, Ms. Althea Collins, regarding proposal for community-based mental health initiative for public safety and wellness.
Thank you. Ms. Collins, as you walk down, thank you for being here. If you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Althea Collins, 2659 New Hope Circle, Hepzibah, Georgia, 30815.
Thank you, ma'am. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for having me. My name is Althea Collins. I am a licensed professional counselor, a certified professional clinical supervisor, and a PhD candidate. And I am a longtime advocate of mental health access here in Georgia. I want to thank you for this opportunity today. I'm here to propose a two-part initiative to help our community, and it's designed to support law enforcement officers and our broader community with practical and sustainable solutions. Growing the local mental health, part 1. First, I'm offering free clinical supervision to master level students, recent graduates, and pre-licensed clinicians in our region. This removes one of the biggest financial and logistical barriers for our counselors. Why does this matter? Because the faster that we can prepare qualified mental health professionals in our community, the faster we can reduce wait lists, improve access to care, and respond to crises before they escalate. Augusta alone has over 200 licensed therapists, statewide over 6,000 counselors, but many are concentrated in urban areas and in private practices. This initiative is about building accessible, local, and community-rooted support. Part 2, supporting law enforcement mental health. The second part for this initiative is tailored for law enforcement officers and our first responders in our community. I'm proposing a structured program of mental health support, trauma-informed training, and resilience building workshops to help our officers process the cumulative stress daily that they go through, the trauma that they see and feel, and the exposure that they face on their jobs. This isn't just about therapy. This is about early intervention, burnout prevention, and our officers' well-being. When our officers are supported, they make better decisions. When the stress is addressed, public safety improves. And when departments invest in their wellness, trust in our law enforcement grows. I'm not doing this alone. I built a team of licensed clinical counselors and social workers and other mental health professionals ready to serve our community. Our combined experience covers crisis care, housing navigation, and trauma support. We've also advocating for mental health professionals to be present during protective order enforcements, domestic violence calls, trauma incidents, and community crisis events. This prevention is action. The community base is important in the support for our safety. The acts and call to action. I'm asking for support in 3 key ways. Departmental buy-in, to offer support services for our officers, public visibility and outreach, helping spread the awareness of this initiative.
1 minute.
Collaborative funding and resources to help sustain and scale this work. This is not a program for show. This is a mission for change and is built with care, credibility, and a deep love for our community. Let's be proactive. Let's protect those who we serve and those who protect us. Let's build a mental health infrastructure that reflects the dignity and the urgency of this moment. Thank you.
Ms. Collins, thank you so much. I just have a quick question. Is this a nonprofit or for-profit endeavor that you're presenting?
This is a for-profit.
Have you reached out to our sheriff? As you know, I agree with you that our first responders, unfortunately, they deal with a lot of stress as to the daily tasks that they have to endure with so many things. Have you reached out to the sheriff's office with your proposal?
Yes, I reached out to McDuffie County, Richmond County, Burke County. No response. I believe I forwarded you the email where, if I had all of their correct email addresses, all the sheriff's officers were on there.
Okay, I can't speak for McDuffie County or anybody else, but I know Sheriff Brantley and his team would certainly accept a meeting with you. So reach out to me or either Jasmine. Jasmine, raise your hand. She can help put you in touch with the sheriff's team, because I think that would be an appropriate first step. And also, our fire chief is also in the audience directly behind you. I will reach out to them, because I think that will be a good first step, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to the consent portion of our agenda. Let's go through this, and then we'll get started with the addendum item that you and I discussed.
Our consent agenda consists of items 1 and 2.
All right. Do we have any public notices that we need to announce? Well, I'll tell you what, let's go through this. Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle from the team.
I got questions on public safety agenda item number 2.
All right, Madam Clerk, we're going to pull item number 2. Public safety item on the addendum. So,
Yes, sir.
all right.
Well, are we adding it and then pulling it?
Yes, ma'am, we're going to
Okay.
add it. We've already agreed to add it. We just need to pull
Yeah,
it now.
pull it.
Yep. All right. Commissioner Brandon Garrett from the 8th.
Thank you. I'd like to add items 5 and 6 and 9
5,
to consent.
6, and 9, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, 5, 6, and 9. Mayor Pro Tempore, Commissioner Guilfoyle, you back in?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to consent agenda item number 7 and agenda item number 10.
Number 7 and 10, sir?
7 and 10. Okay. Anybody else? Quiet bunch today. Number 11.
Number 11?
Is
Okay.
that Commissioner Garrett? Number 11, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
That's all we have.
Agenda 5 and 6 as well.
On the agenda, item number 5 and 6, Madam Clerk. Well, we already have those. 5 and 6 are already there.
Okay.
So we got 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10. And you've asked to pull on the addendum item number 2.
Motion to approve as stated.
The mayor.
Second.
Commission. Yes. The administrator is asking number 8 to be deferred to our next committee meeting.
All right, 8 to be deferred to next committee.
I like to hear number 8. I've already I want to hear that today.
You want to hear about it today?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
so we're going to keep number 8
Okay.
on the agenda. Okay, all right. Commissioner Garrett, is there a motion?
Well, I just seconded.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
All right, and it was seconded by Commissioner Catherine Smith Rice. Commissioner Pulliam, I see you in the queue, madam.
Wanted to consent, can we consent 3 and 4?
No, ma'am, we need to hear
On
from
the
the
addendum.
petitioners.
Addendum.
Addendum.
3 and 4 on the addendum. Motion approved.
Mr. Guilfoyle has asked number 2.
Oh, he's got a question on that. Okay, never mind. Thank you, Mayor Johnson.
Okay.
He has a question on number 3. I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn.
On number 2. 2 on the addendum agenda.
Okay.
But I think we can add 3 and 4 too.
To the consent,
To the consent, okay.
So, Madam Clerk, we're adding.
Thank you.
On the addendum, item 3 and 4.
3 and 4, okay.
Okay, to the consent. All right. All right, there's been a motion by Commissioner Garrett and second by Commissioner Rice. Colleagues, we see it on the screen. We're ready to vote.
That motion carries with Mr. Clark out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to the addendum agenda item number 1, please.
Addendum item number 1 is Mr. Bob Duke, Redwood, regarding their plan of action relative to apartment complexes they own in Augusta.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Duke, are you here? Welcome, sir. For the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Bob Duke. I live at 515 Centralia Alpha Road, Chehalis, Washington, 98532.
Thank you, sir, for being here, and you are representing?
I am representing the Bonaire Apartments. I have by ownership.
Thank you, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come and give you an update as to what's going on at the Bonaire Apartments. As you're well all aware, I'm sure, we've undertaken a project there that has taken a couple of years for us to try to turn things around and do a tremendous amount of work, both to the facility and to the tenant base. So I provided you with a written report here that detailed out what we did. I'd like to run through that real quick, if I may, please. That being in phase 1, which we started in, which we completed, last year in October 30th. We upgraded all the security cameras and systems there. We did a tremendous amount of exterior repairs to the main building, not the rear building. There was a modernization of the fire alarm system that was in dire need. And we worked closely with the fire chief on those. We did full interior renovations of 203 apartments, which included casework, paint, lights, flooring, appliances, things that the facility hasn't had in years. We improved all the accessibility upgrades, property-wide Wi-Fi, common area upgrades, which included renovating restrooms that were in dire need of that, adding a computer center, a library, a complete fitness center there for the tenants to move on. Again, we completed that last October, and we moved directly into phase 2. Phase 2 is scheduled to be completed in first part of November, end of October, first part of November. And again, this is an addition of additional. We're going to double the size of the security system that is currently in place, which we have replaced. We will be replacing additional doors on the exterior to include the main entry sliding door to more of a rigid access control type system for in and out for the tenants. Added control access, as I just mentioned, the installation, one of the big things that we're excited about, we're going to be able to add a perimeter fencing around the property, especially in the rear with 2 access control gates, which will isolate that back area so we can keep some of the non-tenant base off of that property, especially after hours. It'll also assist us in the security matters that we're concerned about. We're continually monitoring and trying to improve on. We're going to replace, or we're modernizing all 4 of the elevators and bringing back one that has been gone for years. That's to start very soon. Full window replacement of the facility again, and that starts next week, actually. We've revitalized the emergency generator system to provide additional power and new transfer switches for all of that. Replacement of the AC cooling tower. Again, this supports the air conditioning portion for the tenants there. So in these type of hot conditions, we can accommodate their needs. One of the towers had been down for years prior to us acquiring that property. Upgraded parking, we're going to go through the whole parking lot and updo that. Additional lighting there. We're recapturing some more of the historical features inside for the tenants, the terrace room. We added another, in this phase, we added arts and crafts. We're upgrading the laundry facilities, and also brought a chapel back that had been concealed, and the tenants are very excited about that. There is a
Continue, sir.
There's an addition of a coordinator's office also that is help coordinate and interactions with the tenants there, especially our senior community. This has not been an easy process over the course of time. It continues to not be. We understand that the community has concerns over safety issues. We understand that the neighbors have concerns over the safety issues, and we too have concerns over those safety issues. But I need to reassure you that we, as Redwood, we develop and maintain quality properties. And when we find these properties, we try to address the problems at the root so we can move forward with them.
Well, before I open it up, I just have a few questions myself.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned all these phases. What is the capital improvement amount that you have committed to? Let's start with the Bonaire first.
At the Bonaire, we're at $6.8 million in phase 1.
Okay.
And phase 2, I don't have that total amount in front of me at the moment, sir. I cannot respond to that.
Has phase 2 been funded? Have you, because the last time your leadership group was before us, you mentioned that you were in the process of trying to get some historic tax credits to kind of make this
Yes, sir.
project a go. Have you received that funding?
Yes, sir, we have.
You have received that funding. Mr. Duke, I was at your property last week.
Yes, sir.
No one should have to live in the conditions that many of your residents live in.
Yes, sir.
Have you been there?
I spend a tremendous amount of time there.
Do you realize there is compliance issues with many of the residents? They're smoking in the building. There is no security at the building during the day. People come and go freely. There's all sorts of illicit acts that are occurring not only in the building, but outside of the building. Weekly, we get complaints, and there's a resident here that has an audio version of gunshots. And frankly, I believe you need to do better. You owe it not only to the people that live there, you owe it to this community, and you owe it to those neighbors that live around that historic building. Now, I will give you some credit that you are working on some improvements. I've seen the exterior painting. I've been inside where you are trying to improve some of the things for some of the residents. But I went to at least a half a dozen apartments where I felt bad for people that their air conditioner wasn't working. And I met with your management there. And they tell me that you're working on the air conditioning system,
Yes, we are, sir.
but it's summer in Augusta, Georgia.
No, sir, that's not true.
It's summer in Augusta, Georgia,
It is.
and
I apologize.
it's hot, and these people don't have anywhere else to go. So if you want to be a great partner to this community, invest in some security. I hear all the talk about cameras and security system. That means nothing to most people. We need people there that's monitoring the people that's coming, that's going. You need to be able to provide, in my opinion, some dignity to the people that live there by providing air conditioning, or at least finding them a unit that has air conditioning this time of year.
Yes, sir, and if I may, sir,
Yes, sir.
there's 150 units in that building currently. In phase 2, as I mentioned, the cooling tower was there. In the apartments, there's 150 of those apartments that are currently receiving new air conditioning as we speak. But the system itself is a system that is water cooled. So every time that they open and they remove one unit down, if it creates an air bubble in that system, it's called, it's an airlock, and it'll shut down a particular area. We have Gold Mechanical there with 2 teams consistently. When this happens, they have to get the air out of the line, which we've added additional mechanisms in place to help with that. But it's an everyday thing where we have to bleed, not the whole building goes down, just certain ones, sir. As far as the conditions inside there, if the tenant will go to the office, we are providing auxiliary air for them, okay, temporarily, just until their new system is fully functional, or if there's a special need. But we are addressing, sir, those things.
All right, lastly, before I turn it over to my colleagues, because there's a few in the queue, this is not going to be successful unless you have some resident compliance, because you got a lot of people that really probably should not be at the building. I've heard stories of people that live there. They're inviting some unsavory folks as visitors, and they're living there and they're hanging out there. How are you going to help drive compliance of those that live there to make sure it's safe and secure for everyone?
We continue, since we've acquired this project, there has been this, for lack of a better term, sir, a weeding out. You have to get rid of the undesirables. They have a lot of rights, as you well know. We have to abide by those rights with our commitments that we have. Just recently here, 6 of those undesirables were finally able to be evicted. We had the U.S. Marshals there to help us remove those from the property. There are others in the queue right now, but we have to abide by the rules in order to get them out. We feel very confident by adding this perimeter access that'll keep the undesirables out. And in the evenings, we need to monitor it better at the front door, which, sir, there is security there. If you were to go there today, you would see that there is security.
There's security during the day now. You've committed to that.
It's 24/7, sir.
I was there last week, and I was told I didn't see any security.
It is there.
I saw a book where you could sign in, but I said, who mans the desk in the book? And they only come at night, is what I was told, by your management there.
That is not true, sir. We
Okay.
do have them there 24/7.
All right,
Yes, sir.
we're certainly going to be auditing that, and I'm going to take you for your word that it's there. I'm going to take you for your word that it's there. I've talked to Mr. Ryan. Ryan told me you'd be coming today,
Yes, sir.
but I can only take you at your word
Yes, sir.
because I pass by there every single day, and I'll be stopping more frequently to make sure that what you pledge is what we're going to receive, okay? All right,
Yeah, I
with that,
appreciate that.
I'm going to open it up to the floor. Commissioner Johnson, who represents this district from the first. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let me go back a few steps. So not only do I represent the area that the Bonaire sits, I also represent the area where the Richmond Summit is.
Yes, sir.
And a few years ago, Ryan came in and he spoke to the commission about the safety of both of those facilities. I took it upon myself to have a decent relationship with the managers at those facilities, but they alternate like clockwork now. I can't keep up with the turnover. At the Bonaire, at the Richmond Summit, and I'll get back to the Bonaire, we had a 13-year-old killed about a year or so ago, picking up a DoorDash order. A few months ago, there was an altercation between 2 gentlemen. who lived at the Richmond Summit. The altercation turned deadly. The guy went upstairs and got his gun, came outside and killed someone. The guy who went upstairs and got his gun, it was found that he wasn't even a tenant of that facility. He was squatting in the building, and your management was okay with that. At the Bonaire, I've since had conversations with residents in the area about hearing gunshots, and they have been told, don't even come out in your backyard because you just never know. And not only have I heard the audibles, I've seen their door cam footage of gunshots coming from that facility. And so my concern is doublefold, because not only do I have the Bonaire on the right side of my district, I have the Richmond Summit on the bottom side, right? What are we going to do about just these issues of people coming into the facilities that aren't supposed to be there? I know we just kind of said that, but the answer wasn't really clear. I can get into both facilities right now without a key card. I can get into both of them right now. I can leave this meeting and go into your facilities and do whatever I want to do. I've been in the basement of the Richmond Summit unsupervised. I've been to the rooftop unsupervised. I know for a fact that in places like the Maxwell House and other places, you don't own Maxwell, but Maxwell has similar conditions. But they have on-site security at all times of day and night. As a matter of fact, my uncle is a security officer at night. He's armed. And the folks sleeping in the stairwells and just all of the conditions that they've dealt with, those issues have substantially dropped. So I guess what my question is, and not really, it's a question, it's just really, what assurance do we have that people just can't randomly come in off the streets at the property? Say your tenants aren't the problem. Say you may have somebody in your building selling drugs or selling whatever, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but let's just play that for a second. How do we know that the efforts that are happening at the Bonaire and the Richmond Summit, the positive efforts that you're talking about are going to be enough? Because if we're still having police and fire and everybody coming to these properties to handle these calls, that tells us that there's still some type of gap there. And we want to be good partners here. We don't want to, bring your business license into question. We don't want to play that game at all. But when you have residents calling about gunshots and they're afraid to go in their backyards, or more extreme, you have residents being killed at these properties, I mean, there's no reason why someone should be living at a facility and they don't even have a lease there. And then I don't think that I don't think that we can justify an individual who is living in these facilities having those firearms just regularly available.
I agree with you.
So let's figure out, like, how can we get to a better place here? Because the extreme part is this commission is going to have to hold you accountable by way of putting your business license on probation until we actually feel confident that something is going on. We don't want to get to that point because folks still need affordable housing. But we still have a responsibility to the folks who live in the area and the families that's been affected by this stuff.
We do too, sir.
So can you share with me kind of what can I take home to give me some assurance that we won't have to have this conversation again?
Again, I can only run through, as I mentioned to you earlier, the mechanisms that we can put in place as far as mechanical mechanisms. Physical mechanism that you're referencing, which would be a security guard, sir, those are not off the table ever.
Are your security guards, are they armed security guards?
They are not.
So they just have flashlights, like
They are to call 911.
So we need something a little bit tougher enforcement on those properties. And I'm not saying you need to hire people to put them in harm's way, but the Maxwell House, those folks are armed. And I mean, if we have to go so far as to having specials, I mean, if I can get in your building, because I went one day in your building with the gun on my hip, walked around every floor, and I didn't see a single security officer or the manager didn't stop me, I can do whatever I want in your property. So I think just having somebody sitting at a desk is not enough. We need someone who has the ability to apprehend and to handle situations if they occur.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. I would hope that we can have some type of like follow-up by way of, email or some type of report, because we have to report back to our constituents. And I want to, like I said, I want to be a good partner in this. But if I can walk in your building with a pistol on my hip, I mean, and I'm a good
thing, sir.
I'm a good guy, right?
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, and our firm would too. I feel that we normally would never have an armed presence at one of our properties. Generally speaking, we're not certain that that's always the best approach, but it should never be ruled out as a potential option. So I'll make sure that our firm is, we'll discuss this and we'll get back with you, Commissioner Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Duke.
All right, Mr. Duke, in my omission, the young lady that represents that area, Catherine Smith Rice, she is a District 3 commissioner, and I yield to her. Commissioner Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, Mr. Duke.
Good afternoon, Ms. McKnight.
Well, it's Rice now.
I apologize. My apologies.
But no, anyway, I appreciate my colleague from the first. He was kinder. His words were kinder than what I want to say. I feel like that I'm hearing the same old thing that I heard a couple of years ago when Nick from Redwood came up and spoke. All the bells and whistles and everything. And then the thing is, once we stay on top of you for a little bit, y'all do the work. Or you're doing something around the Bonaire for a bit. But the minute we turn our backs, all hell breaks loose. And it's been nonstop. And I'm gonna say that I received a code enforcement, and I don't even want to go there today, because when I read what I needed to read, it was not accurate from when I read that and seeing what I see and hearing what I hear, totally different. But I'm gonna do this, and I hope that my colleagues are okay with me doing this. But you're not here every day. And you've been with Redwood for how long, if you don't mind me asking? Because it's like revolving doors. I feel like when I call somebody from Redwood, number's disconnected, somebody else is taking, nobody ever returns my calls.
I'm the original, ma'am.
You are the original? Well,
I've been here since the beginning.
Okay. Well, others have come and gone. But if you've been here since the beginning, then my question is, safety is first and foremost.
That's correct.
And I've got constituents here, and when they're not happy, this district commissioner is not happy, and I'm not happy.
Yes, ma'am.
And from what I'm seeing and hearing, and I said this last week, I'm saying it again, you're not here, so you don't know what neighbors are living through and what they're having to witness and see, and their children are having to see, and the people that are living inside there that don't want to come out of their apartments because they're scared. We got major problems, okay? Major problems. And if it were up to me today, personally, I'd revoke your license. I would. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a motion, and it can fall flat on the floor, or we can support it up or down. But I'm going to play something real quick. Do y'all mind if I play this through the
Not at all, ma'am.
Okay. 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 Have you been here and heard any of that when you've been here? No. No,
ma'am.
No. That's ongoing. That's recurring constantly. Constantly. That's not fair to citizens and residents that have lived around here that pay their property taxes and whatnot. It's not fair. And I was told a couple of years ago that we were going to have everything secured. It's not. When I ride by Walton Way, I'm up and down Walton Way numerous times. The back door is wide open with people going in and out facing Walton Way. That's open. The back parking lot of Cumming Road is nothing but switching off drugs back and forth. You might say I'm wrong, but it's happening. Where is a security gate fence? Why isn't that in place?
It's part of phase 2, ma'am.
Oh, I thought phase 2 was going to be done 2 years ago.
No, ma'am. Nobody ever told you that.
No,
okay.
I'm going to interrupt. You say phase 2, but phase 2 is not funded yet.
Phase 2 is funded, sir.
So it's $6.8 million.
6.8 was in the beginning, and I apologize, sir. I do not have that. I can have that for you
Okay.
within minutes,
Okay,
if
I
you'll
got you.
allow me.
My apologies, Commissioner Rice.
Oh, no problem at all. Do you mind, Mr. Mayor, if I ask somebody that's a resident in the audience again, maybe to come up and speak briefly?
No, ma'am, I don't.
May I say something here?
Oh,
Just,
sure.
please.
Yes. Go ahead.
I hear what you're saying with regards to these gunshots, which truthfully could have been anywhere. I'm not saying that they were. I will not deny that, because I agree with you. The property has had a struggle with people coming from off-site to that parking lot, and you and I both know that's what's going on. We're intending to shut that down through these measures that we've got listed right here, ma'am. The added security inside, the added security outside are the steps forward to try to prevent the end means.
Sir, those steps have, nothing has been secured. Nothing. To this day, it is not secure. Richmond County Sheriff's Office has been over there numerous of times too, in an ambulance too, to take someone to the hospital that was shot. Okay, tell me where the security is. You're telling me there hasn't been any security. And there's not, and there probably won't be unless we take up here harsh measurements to make sure that it's done.
Ma'am, it is done. There is security there, and there will be added security measures. I've given you a date of the 1st of November. By the 1st of November, all these measures should be in place and then some.
What if they're not?
Well, then I'm not a man of my word, am I?
Well, I tried to hang on to every word Redwood said when I got on this commission, and they were telling me that they were going to do this and that, and to this day, nothing's been done. So you're a man of your word. I want to be able to say that I can trust you, Mr. Duke, that it's going to be done by November 2025, and that everybody that lives around there feels safe in their homes, and they can walk out in their backyards and walk their dog without feeling like they're going to be shot. Or poked and bothered. Their children don't even want to go out.
I would hope that would be the case too.
Okay, I'm going to allow. Thank you but I'm going to allow a resident who lives behind the Bonaire to come up and speak, who has also been in the building with me on several occasions, and if we walk through there today, it still would be. It would look the same.
I don't think so.
Okay. Would
we gonna find out soon?
We're gonna find out, because from what I see, I know somebody from the Richmond County Sheriff's Office that was over there the other day, and the elevator, sir, did not work. They did not.
The elevator's work hasn't started yet.
The elevator should work, sir, so that people can get up and down.
They do work, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Both cars.
Then I'm not going to say that somebody from that sheriff's office was lying to me, because I know they weren't.
No, ma'am, they don't lie.
Okay, I'm gonna have Mr. Dolan come up and speak.
All right, sir, come on up. You come to this side right over here, Mr. Dolan. And for the record, I'm gonna need you to state your name and address, sir.
My name's Frank Dolan. I live at 808 Millage Road, Augusta, Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, the rest of the commission. And there must be two Bonaires here, because what I'm hearing doesn't exist. I've never seen what he's talking about. I see a white coat of paint on a building that still reeks of urine and human waste inside. I have an employee that lives in that building. He goes home, and it's the law of the jungle in there. They can't go out at night in the hallways, or they will be shaken down by whoever is in charge. And I know he doesn't know. I know that the gunfire is continuous. I've got a tape. I'll show you. This was June 21st and 22nd.
Mr. Dolan, what's in that video? What are you trying to exhibit to this body?
It's more gunshots.
More gunshots, okay.
As of last weekend.
Okay. While he's doing that, Mr. Duke, help me understand, how long have you been in town?
On this trip?
Yes, sir.
I've been here since last weekend.
Okay, where do you stay when you're in town?
either across the street at the Partridge Inn or other facilities around Augusta.
Thank you. All
I
right.
think you should stay in that hot-ass building with no air conditioning.
Mr. Dolan, you can't use that type of language in these chambers.
It's accurate. Here you go.
Mr. Dolan, for reference, what do you?
Not finished. It's reloading.
$14 shots.
If you're paying a security guard, you ought to go get your money back. Because it's not happening. That's in the back parking lot where you have total light pollution.
Mr. Dolan, you need to acknowledge the chair and not directly to
I'm
the
sorry.
chairman. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, he needs to go back and get his money back, Mr. Mayor, because it's not working. The security is non-existent. I have an employee that lives there, and I gain a lot of information. He's a good guy. He's had a hard time. He works at my office out by Marvin Griffin Road, goes back to the Bonaire, goes in and double locks his door so people won't kick his door in. We helped him out. The video, I have a video pointed at that parking lot, and there are people in the upstairs hallways shooting out of the hallways. They're not in the parking lot. They're inside of your building that you say secure, that it is not secure. It has not changed. It's still the same urine smell. There's still trash and other waste on the hallways. And if anybody would take 30 or 40 minutes and go walk, you only need to go 2 floors and you're going to leave. I don't know how many rooms don't have air conditions. We were 101 degrees yesterday. I don't know how many toilets don't work. They all don't work.
I wouldn't say the toilets don't work. I haven't been in an apartment where I had a resident complain about the toilets. I know they complained about the heat and the condition of the building.
I don't know if the sinks work. I don't know if the wastewater drains out of the sinks. But it should be looked into, and code enforcement, he gets F if they said all that stuff's passed. He goes, it's not.
Thank you, sir. Sir, when's the last time you've had a HUD inspection on that building? Wait, I'm going to let him answer this question first. I know you got HUD dollars. When's the last time HUD had conducted an inspection?
I can't give you an accurate date on that. It's been within the last 2 years.
2022, I believe.
Okay. Mr. Dolan?
Okay.
I have contacted Lindsey Graham. He's not our representative. I can't get in touch with our senators. Mr. Graham has gotten me in a direction to Secretary Turner, who is the HUD secretary, and I play golf with Donald Trump. I'm going to put as much heat on this place as I possibly can. I'm tired of waiting. I've got 2 grandchildren and this gunfire going on and the non-existent security. I can't have an accident like this happen in the backyard. Next door, Miss Smith right here, Randy Smith's widow, can't let her children play in the backyard. They live adjacent to the parking lot. It is not a one-off occurrence. I wish we could pull the reports, 911 calls. Maybe y'all could. I don't know. I know I can't. And see how many calls about gunfire in the middle of the night. Every single week this goes on. It's not one-off or every 6 months. It's like 3 or 4 times a week. Thank you. I'm done.
Mr. Dolan, thank you. And for reference, Mr. Dolan's property backs up to your property, the Bonaire.
Which property?
Matter.
The Bonaire property.
Matter, okay.
Yeah, his property backs up to yours. Chair recognizes, I'm sorry, Commissioner Rice, you still have the floor, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to put a motion on the floor,
Okay.
and it would be to put Redwood on probation and direct the administrator to conduct at the July meeting, well, no more than 30 days from today, but to put them on probation. And if we can't get things fixed during the probation days, then we look at revoking their business license. This property is an embarrassment. It used to be it is a beautiful property, but it is an embarrassment. And it's unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. And I am so concerned about my constituents and the residents there. And I really don't think that us sitting here talking about this like we did 2 years ago and we've gotten nowhere, something we need to come down on this. And colleagues, please understand, but we have been talking about this. Some of you have been on here with me, and I've brought this up back when John Clark was here. And we're still at the same place we were then.
Commissioner Rice has requested a motion in this body. Is there a second?
Second it.
There's a second by Commissioner Tina Slindak. Support colleagues in the queue. You need to repeat the motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to put Redwood on probation and direct the administrator to be conducted at the July meeting, which is no more than 30 days, correct? But we go ahead and do, I would say put him on probation, 6 months?
Give him till November when he said he'll be completed with that.
Okay, we'll do November.
Thank you, ma'am.
And then if by November something isn't done, then we revoke your license, because this is not fair to the city of Augusta, and it's not fair to our citizens. It's just not. We can't continue, and it's not fair to Richmond Summit neither. It's not fair to them. I get a few calls from there. Commissioner Johnson gets most of them. It is in his district, and he's done a fabulous job of talking to his constituents and residents there. But we've got to do something, and I'm ready. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of it.
All right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Duke.
I can totally relate to your position with poor neighbors. I've been in this position myself personally, and that is not now and never will be our intent. We want to be just the opposite. We want to be good neighbors. So, ma'am, I've got till November to show you otherwise, but I will continue personally to make sure that I get there.
Okay.
Exactly what I have promised. I told you what I'm going to do here.
You're telling me? Show me.
Yes, ma'am. I am of the show me state. So
and
let's do it.
You're gonna walk your talk.
I walk the talk.
Okay,
ma'am.
I'm counting on it, and so are my constituents and everybody else that has been affected by the Bonaire.
So there's a motion in a second. Madam Clerk, before we vote, there's some colleagues in the queue. Chair recognizes, Attorney Plunkett.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, there's two issues. One is we should go ahead and designate the date in July we're referring to. I assume that, I think we have a meeting on July 29th. Is that correct? Is that November? But we'll coordinate that, but we also need to provide notice to Mr. Dukes unless he's waiving that notice. But I think it would be appropriate we'll provide at least 3 days notice so he'll know the date of that hearing. So that was just want to make sure that we were going to designate. All right.
Okay, thank you. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tempore Commissioner from the 10th, Wayne Guilfoyle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I speak to Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Attorney Plunkett, I believe that we gave him the deadline of what he had said in November when his phase is going to be completed. But Mr. Duke, I appreciate you coming before us on your own accord. But what you're saying and what you're hearing and then how it affects you stay at the Partridge Inn.
Different places. I've stayed at the Partridge Inn multiple times.
Okay,
yes.
so you stay
Across
at the Partridge Inn, you see the neighborhood behind it. If you took a left when you left the Partridge Inn, went up the hill, took a right or a left, you see that it abuts the Bonaire. And you see how much and how many people, families it affects. It's a shame when people came and let their children go out and play in the backyard where it's a safe zone for most of us families, but it's not a safe zone for people that abuts y'all's property. So what we've been hearing is, I put it blank, you're going to have to get your house in order. You're going to have to protect that property from the unwanted, like you said, them security guards. I think I would invest in a different type of security people, security system, et cetera. Even if you got to put a gate, lock key, you know, you can't get into certain buildings. You can't get into this building without a card. You know, pass it on to the residents there. But the main thing is your residents is who I'm concerned about as well. When they can't live in their own apartment safely, they can't get to the apartment safely. And for them to stay in the apartments without air conditioning, I had to work in a garage the other day. I come home pants soaking wet from working on the job site. But they have to live in it. I could go home into an air-conditioned house. These people don't. So how do you do your correspondence with your residents there when you know that this side of the building is going to be non-air, when you actually have to drain the water or drain out your air conditioning, and it puts a airlock in your system? How do they know? Yes, sir?
We've had multiple, there is a tenant meeting every month, and now we've gone to a weekly meeting to where they're notified where these replacements are going to take place. The management gets out a notice to them, but again, there is schedule of where they're working in the buildings, and then also when the tenants come that have any kind of medical issues, or the ones that don't have AC, they go to the office. We're trying to move them around within the sequencing and get them ahead of the normal sequence flow that we should be doing. So again, by getting out of that sequence, it causes a mechanical problem when you go to put this system back online. But again, Goldmec has been an excellent partner.
But when it comes to our citizen safety, that's first and foremost.
Yes, sir.
Whether it's the citizens or residents that live there, but it's the citizens that lives around there. You know, we hear you loud and clear. November is a deadline for you. And I would hate to see you come back before this body in November and it's not, you didn't meet the criteria, the safety. But I would ask the administrator, since we have tools in our toolbox as far as our code enforcement, they haven't been out there in 2 years. Let's make sure that our code enforcement goes out there quarterly, as well as our fire department. Because if I imagine you got sprinkler systems, that we got to make sure that things are up to date. The fire extinguishers are past inspections. So we need to make sure you fully understand you got to get your house in order, because the next time you come before us, it's not going to be as pleasant.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bree. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 9th, Commissioner Francine Scott.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I guess this is a question for our attorney. Now, when we are putting this company on probation, and we're saying Bonaire, but does this include Richard Summit as well? Is this one business? And if so, we're having some of the same issues as Bonaire, especially when a young 13-year-old was killed at Richard Summit. So this probation, does it include both locations?
Ms. Scott, as the motion was read, I believe it was this, but it could be amended to allow for both. But you're not putting the property or the owner on probation today. What you're doing is starting the mechanism to provide him notice or the company notice, and there'll be a hearing in front of this body where they can bring evidence. The notice will provide what sections, and I think you're going to be referring to A6, which basically says that the property is not, if I may quote, it's just basically saying that there's failed to provide adequate supervision of others on the subject property, including property, parking lots, and which is necessary to protect the safety and well-being of the general public and those on the premises. So I think that's kind of what you're saying, that it's an unsafe facility. And then Mr. Dukes, on behalf of the company, they can either consent to the probation or they can put up evidence, and y'all have an opportunity to hear probably the same information again, but maybe in a little bit different. And he may have his information in a little different order to provide y'all that. And at that juncture, then it would be on probation. And then you would have a follow-up by, if things are brought into order very quickly, then y'all could remove that probation, or alternatively, you could revoke it. So at that juncture. But this has given him an opportunity to clean up essentially a mess, and apparently it will be for both properties. So, and again, at the hearing, you'll hear more information about the condition of the Richmond Summit, which we really haven't addressed today, but that would be appropriate for him to be able to, and y'all to, and also we would have some information probably by license and inspection to come forth and address. But, it's however you want to hear the hearing. So, but that's really what we're trying to do today, is just set the mechanism in play to have this hearing.
For both locations?
Yes.
Do we need to amend the?
It would be, I think it'd be, just for clarity, if I may, the motion is to have a public hearing at a date designated by the clerk of commission not to exceed 30 days from today's date regarding the Richmond Summit and the Bonaire Hotel, or Bonaire Apartments, I know it is the hotel. So I think that's the gist of the motion, and I may have restated it, but I'm thinking that's what Ms. Rice was trying to say. Yes. But I think it would be appropriate for you to confirm that, and then someone again second that motion.
Okay. Read exactly what I just read out, but Richmond Summit is definitely is included. Okay, both properties.
All right. Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the second, Commissioner Stacy Pulliam.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson.
Yes, we do have a second. It's seconded by Commissioner Tina Slindeck.
Okay.
Thank
you, Mayor Johnson. And I don't know exactly who to direct this question to, but in regards to the probationary period, what happens after that? So in the event we revoke license, what about the residents that are there? I know currently in code enforcement issues, what I've been told before is if code enforcement shuts down the complex, then everyone has to evacuate. Would that be the same in this instance, that every resident in both facilities would have to evacuate, or what is the next step? And I may be putting the cart before the horse, but I would like to know kind of what would happen in that instance.
Ms. Pulliam, I can give you kind of a rough guess. I would prefer, though, to come back and give you a little bit more information at the time at the hearing. But obviously, there's probably some business covenants in the various, if there's debt that's secured in tax covenants that this will be operating. You cannot just simply remove people from a building. There's still an eviction process, and there's a lot of different things that would be put into motion. And rather than me kind of giving you an off the cuff, I would prefer to give you a little bit more definitive answer. I have two partners who do a fair amount of dispossessory work, in the hundreds on a monthly or at least quarterly basis. So I would prefer to get you that information, and I can certainly provide that to you in advance of the hearing so that you can understand the ramifications of what that probation would mean.
Okay, if you could provide that to the entire body, that would be great. That way we can consider what's going to happen to the residents that live in both properties in the event things are not done the way they should be done.
Certainly.
I think we need to be forward thinking about that as well, because that'll be a lot of people that are displaced.
Understood, and we will provide that for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Pulliam. Mr. Duke?
Yes, sir. If I may ask the question of the commission, so am I to understand that the standardization to be off of probation is to meet these requirements or things that I've explicitly stated in my earlier description of work? Is that correct? Along with safety improvements?
I would say that would be a great start. Security is more important than anything. Even though I think you mentioned security measures, I think you need security guards. Cameras and those other types of devices don't do a great job of monitoring people's coming and going. I don't want to inundate our sheriff's department with responding to calls when sometimes you could take a deterrence method or measure to keep people off the property, having people to check in, including the perimeter fencing. Now, there's some great organizations that do a great job of monitoring their properties. And if you need me to provide some recommendation, there are some that do a great job, that do compliance with residents that live there. You know, our office has been approached or contacted by people that have gotten put out for some of the simplest infractions, and they also are a voucher-based home provider. So there's ways to do it. There are ways to do it, but it's incumbent upon yourself to make sure that you're willing to do it and to strictly enforce the guidelines of the no smoking, the no loitering. If you're not on the lease, you can't come here and stay but so many days. I don't know if you enforce all of that, but I think that's contributing to a lot of your problems.
I would agree with you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Commissioner Rice?
Yes, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I've got one, if y'all don't mind, one more person that would like to speak just real quick like.
You got it. Who is it, madam? Come on up. For the record, I need your name and address, please.
Diane Litchfield, 1 Reed Court, Augusta, Georgia.
All right, Ms. Litchfield, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I've never actually understood, I want to say first, the building right across the street beside of the Partridge Inn is the George Walton condominiums. My husband and I developed that 45 years ago, and we lived there all that time too. Almost every night, you know, even back then, you would hear the gunshots, but the fire department would come every night, you know, with it blazing. It's just been a disruption forever. But in the beginning, I think it was regular apartments. It wasn't until it became government housing that it became such a problem. I've never actually understood if this is Section 8 or if this is voucher or how they vet the people that they let move in. My husband and I owned Section 8 HUD housing. We had 6 apartment complexes that were Section 8. You know, you had, like you said, those inspections. They made sure that you vetted the people, that they were supposed to live there. Times have changed so much now, you know, with gangs and everything else. But as she said a little while ago, that was such a beautiful, wonderful building. And if it can't be Section 8, all these new places that pop up around, students and everything else renting to go to the medical college and all, maybe it's time that it wasn't government housing anymore, especially with where it's located. If it were apartments, I guarantee you if it was fixed up nice again, it would be filled up. And it's just that, like everybody said, you can't live with that going on. We had people coming over from the Bonaire at night, being on the patios in where we had condominiums, and the lady came out, had to be confronted by one of them, you know, and they can't control what the people do, but they can control who they put in there and who they let live there and who they let come there. And it has come to harder times now where you just have to have a lot more security than you used to.
Yep. Ms. Litchfield, we certainly understand your concerns, and I wish it were that easy that, you know, this property could be sold, but it's complicated in that there's a lot of low-income tax credits that are tied to this property, as well as the Richmond Summit. Plus, the owner has stated explicitly it is his mission to provide housing for those that are low income and unfortunate. And he told me that personally. So that property will not be for sale anytime soon.
I understand. My husband was the one, when Jim Bible originally owned the building, that was going to develop it into regular apartments. But all of this stuff that he says he's going to do, he can beautify it and build it out of gold, but it's not going to be any better for the neighborhood unless something severely is done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, Mr. Duke. sir, we've heard you. And I will give you credit that I do see improvement. I see people replacing the carpet, and I've heard you've improved the bathrooms and a lot of things. But security is paramount to making sure that the residents and the community that lives around there is safe. And you've given us your pledge that you're going to improve that, and we look forward to working with you to hold you to that pledge. All right? We're going to get to her. All right, Commissioner Rice.
Again, Mr. Duke, I'm watching you. Watching you. You and I can exchange numbers because I don't have your number, but I don't want to be a thorn in your side calling you all the time. But November 2025.
November of 2025.
That
I
can't
spend a
come
lot of
soon
time
enough.
here. I'm probably here every other week, and I've had the opportunity to be in your neighborhood and at the Bonaire. If I stay across the street, I walk that property at night around to find out what's going on. That's how I really find out. So as a man of my word, I can tell you right now, I know what's going on. We will address your concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duke.
I'm counting
How
on
long
it.
you going to be in town for, sir?
I hope to go home and see my wife tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And again, we need your help to improve this.
It's going to happen, sir.
Thank you so much. All right, Madam Clerk, we've been on this for a long time. Time to move on now. Oh, that's right. We got to vote. We got a motion and a second to include both properties. Motion made by Commissioner Catherine Smith Rice, seconded by Commissioner Tina Slindak. Madam Clerk, there's no one else in the queue for discussion. We're ready to vote. Let's see what we got here.
Carries. It's unanimous with those present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to item number 3 on the regular agenda.
Item number 3 is a motion to approve funding of We're number 3 on the regular agenda. Ms.
public
Cecilia Woodward.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Today I bring to you alcohol number 25-30, existing location, new ownership, retail packaged beer and wine for Sarita Gamage. She's the applicant for 2078 Old Savannah Road Incorporated, doing business as Sarita Food Market, located at 2078 Old Savannah Road, District 2, Super District 9. Planning and Development and the Sheriff's Office recommends approval. Do we have any objectors?
Any objectors to this matter? Hearing or seeing none, let's continue.
Say your name and your home address.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarita Gamis. My address is 1750 SC Augusta. I'm sorry, it's my first time, so how to say? Merchantary. I do read. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarita Gamis. My address is 1750 SC Merchantary, Augusta.
That's 1750 S.E. McIntyre?
Yeah, McIntyre.
That's where you live?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So, my zip code is 30904.
30904. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
No, you don't have to be sorry. Thank you for taking your time and getting that right. Is there a motion for approval on this item?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Catherine Smith Rice. See no colleagues in the queue. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's move on to number 4.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, and Administrator. We have a request by Margot Pick for a fortune teller license to be used in connection with Car of Life LLC, located at 229 Furious Ferry Road, number 115, that's Augusta 30907. The applicant has met the requirement, and Planning and Development recommends approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Need your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Margot Pick. My address is 2006 Starn Street, Augusta, Georgia, 30904.
Thank you so much. All right, colleagues, is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second, I heard Commissioner Rice. Motion was made by Commissioner Guilfoyle, seconded by Commissioner Rice. Madam Clerk, seeing no colleagues in the queue, we're voting.
That motion carries 8-1, with Mr. Garrett voting no.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to the next item. Madam, thank you for being here.
Item number 8.
Number 8.
Update, April 29, 2025, Augusta Commission discussed TIA project, street improvement project, and requested exploring the project's construction schedule, acceleration by implementing 2 day shift and night construction schedule for business corridor segment.
All right, Dr. Malik.
Good afternoon. On April 29th, there was a request to see if we can accelerate the construction schedule to help out construction impacts on the corridor and the businesses. So we had that discussion with the contractor, and that's what I just wanted to give you an update on that. So the handout I just gave, first is the base schedule, which is the current schedule. And the way construction is planned right now is basically is 2 lanes on each direction. So the contractor will be working 2 inner lanes and then 2 outer lanes. The road will be open for the traffic and businesses, and access will be maintained. So if we stay on the current schedule, the inner lane, which is and segment 4, which is James Brown statue area, the James Brown Park, that will be in July 2027. And then, which is segment 2, which will be the outer lines, 1 lane on each side, be another year, October 2028. However, if we go with the second shift, which is the night shift, that will accelerate the schedule a year. So segment 2 inside lane and the James Brown Park will be completed next year by October, and then the outer line is going to be completed by 2027 October. So that corridor will be completed by October 2027. So the second page is where the contractor outlined the night shift, how they're gonna do all that, and the schedule, and the costs associated with that is around $13 million. So after looking at all that and the schedule, department is supporting this second shift for several reasons. One is to minimize the impact on that corridor of the construction impact of the businesses and all that. And also it will help to close out the tier 1. So there may be some opportunity to recapture some of the funds tier program may have left over. The way it works is the funds, any unused funds go back to the GDOT and stay in that program. And when the tier 1 gonna be closed out, GDOT gonna look if there is money left over, then they will distribute based on the ratio they have. Like Richmond County is somewhere around 45% of that. So that's what I want to update. I do have another handout if that's we'll have the body to move forward. Again, department is in favor of that, given, a certain year is a very good schedule, getting it done next year. And then, other handout is how department thinks this can be funded. Primarily, really, is through the spreading out over 25 to 29, primarily through tier discretionary, without impacting other activities, and then get it done. So I do have that.
Yeah, let's see that. Now, Dr. Malik, while she's getting ready to hand it out, you mentioned that this is recommended through your department that we move forward with this.
Yes, sir, because it's 1 year acceleration. To me, it's a very good schedule to move it up and get out of that corridor.
That's some questions, Mayor.
All right, we're gonna make sure we get everybody's hand out first.
The funding. Yeah.
So before I turn it over to our colleagues, Dr. Malik, you mentioned working 2 shifts. Help us understand the times of those shifts. So when you say second shift, what is the time that the second shift would start?
We work the detail. Normally, second shift work like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. like
To the morning.
yeah, like 6 a.m. or something.
So you have a morning crew to work during the day and someone come on at night?
Yes, sir. We don't have two crews.
Okay, all right. Let's. You need to explain the second sheet before I open it up. The second sheet is.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So basically, that is the proposal to how we're going to pay for $13 million, basically.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Garrett from the 8th, you got the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Mind if I address Dr. Malik?
Yes, sir.
Got a few questions for you, Doc. I appreciate you bringing this forward because I think all of us would love to see this project completed sooner than later. But I do have a couple questions in regards to this.
Yes,
so
sir.
this time frame of moving it, basically getting it done a year earlier, is that guaranteed?
So, can you repeat the question, please?
Are they guaranteeing that they'll get these projects?
Yes, sir. So there were built-in damages, you can call it.
So there
The
was-
schedule, like $2,000 a day.
So there are penalties built in if they don't meet their deadline?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay. Is the deadline based on us making a decision today?
So, yes, sir, yeah, I mean, the sooner we make the decision, then we can work with the contractor, mobilize it, and, as we go into winter and all, the probability of delay to the weather and all other things. So, right now, the longer days, all of it, it's a better time frame to move as soon as we can move.
And so these discretionary funds that you're saying that you're going to pull from to be able to pay for this over the next few years, since they truly are discretionary funds, what would those have been used for if we do not move forward with this? Like, what other projects around the county won't be able to be done because we're trying to get this project done a year earlier?
So, engineering, when the TS started, so there was discussion at the floor, so it didn't get around 85% of that, so it goes into 3 parts. One, we are funding these projects, 1/3 of that, because, the bids always come high, or, because these projects were developed back in 2010, 2011. Then, 1/3 is going into the quality control, like construction testing, monitoring, all that. So, engineering does not have a whole in-house workforce to have everyday monitoring of each and every project, because that's the tier requirement. And then 1/3 going into the resurfacing, all that. So the way normally, it used to be around 3.5 million, but now for the last 2-3 years, when everything went up, so that's around 5.2. So around 4 million. That's why we spread it out without really creating a whole lot of impact to what engineering been using those funds.
So you're saying there won't be much impact to any of the other projects?
Yes, sir. And then also, we will, in the department, will look into other funding from GDOT has become available. Like, if we get close to tier 1, close out earlier, there may be possibility to get. But right now, at least I have to come up with, how we can fund it, at least,
All right, and so in reference to this and then moving forward with the night work, what about the redesign work that's been kind of a point of conversation over the last couple of months about trying to find the additional parking spaces? Has that design work been completed? Because I'm asking that because if we give the green light to go forward with the night work, are we give them the green light to go with the previous design or the one that we're trying to work towards with the business owners?
So then we look at that, and the design work really, it's not going to be a whole lot change other than, we're looking at where this transition at the block of 6th and 5th. So, and they are still working on it, and we will bring that back along with the post-construction rendering, how it's going to look like after it's done. And also, the commission already approved to road dial for Arena Street and Alice Street for the concept, and there's the funds allocated to that. We're also looking at the side streets to increase the parking, like 11th Street. The parking was increased when we went one way, but we have not really touched the 12th. So we're looking into those kind of things to increase the parking on that. So yeah, so that will take time to work everything out. But here, they're going to start with the inner segment and 4, which is the inner part of that.
Okay, and so my last question, I see where, and this may be a question for the administrator. Let me start there first. Madam Administrator, how much do we have allocated out of SPLOST State for resurfacing for 2026?
30 million.
I'll be honest with you, Commissioner Garrett, I'm not sure how much we have allocated. This is the first I've seen of this recommendation, to be honest. So I would like that we have our finance department vet where these figures are going to be coming from as it relates to this project. I think it's great. We're trying to expedite the process, but we just want to make sure that our funding sources are adequate.
So should we ask Tim? Tim, can you answer any of this, or do you need some time?
All right, he's requested time for those and for the record.
Dr. Malik, could we bring this to the next committee the week after next? Or actually, would that be full commission or committee?
It's July 8th, the committee.
That way, would that give you time?
And his answer is yes.
Would that be okay, Dr. Malik? I know that this may impact the end date, but I'm just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page because.
Yeah, but I'll guarantee you will not impact what engineering does, because engineering roughly has 4 million, that's what they use. And there's 1.1 million, I think, go to transit and all others. So given all the past 12-year history, and the resurfacing also is a blended one. And as we move forward, we always look for more funds,
Yeah. No, I mean, I like the fact that you're trying to expedite this project, and the only part that gives me any pause is using some of the SPLOST money that I drive our roads every day, and there are a lot of roads outside of downtown that sure do need to be resurfaced. All right.
As I say, we will continue to look for other funding, but right now just to kind of let it.
But on a side note, I do appreciate Hepburn McBean Road. You kept to your word. You said, I'm going to get this done, and you gave us a time frame. You got it done. So I do appreciate that, and want to let this commission body know that the work was done, and it's great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gadd. Before I continue on, Dr. Malik, we've been to Atlanta asking for money, shortfalls regarding this TIA project. Taking an additional $13 million, how does that put into play what's happening in the lower end of Broad and Green? Does this further put us in the hole with having adequate funding to finish some of those projects? You and I have been to GDOT on a couple of occasions. Help me understand that.
Yes, sir. Again, as I said, it will not impact really what engineering does. GDOT been very kind and helpful and give us money. So for Broad Street only, they added 12.5 million, which we already have allocated to the current project which we're doing. So, so they did that. And again, I'm saying, as we move forward, if really there is a need somewhere, we can always go back. And right now, we're working on the Green Street. That was, last time when we met.
Does this address all of the concern people had about the painted brick in the lower end of Old Town? Is that funding still there? I mean, is the funding there to make Old Town look like the other parts of the project?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the goal. We're not gonna, create two different appearance or anything. Yeah, and that's why Green. We had a choice to start either 13 to 5th or 5th to 12th, and that was really we started the other part.
Okay. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm all for making sure this project speeds up. Again, I don't necessarily have to hone in again that I'm negatively impacted by the project directly because of where I stay. So I want this to be moved along pretty quickly. Have you had a chance to run this by finance?
No, I didn't, because these are the funds normal engineering use.
Okay, I know that this was a directive from the April 29th commission meeting to have this ready to go today. So we've had 2 months, and I see on the document here it says May 25th and May 16th. So I just, my biggest complaint right now is that there's an opportunity for us to move forward, and I know that construction is supposed to begin on the Broad Street side, the James Brown Linear Park, I believe, around August.
Yes, sometime August, September. Yeah, we're holding them to NPP.
So we're thinking to start late July, early August. What information will you have prepared to us for the next committee meeting?
It's going to be the same information.
Same information.
Other than I can go back to contractor and refine the schedule. Some of the delay really was where we are. We hit the bad material conflict with the water and sewer and all. So all those got resolved now. So we're going to move, at a faster pace. So we were more focused really resolving those before bringing this back.
So in the notes area, it says crews can begin work in 2 weeks from notice. So we could potentially start earlier than August if this commission makes a decision before then?
Yeah, that's what, they can mobilize that decision. So
Okay.
it's a very reputable company. They do a lot of work here in Columbia County. So they're doing Fury Ferry, a few others.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And Director Schreier, you don't have to come to the podium, but exactly what is it that you are going to be looking for in particular to the funding? So you might as well come on up. Is this the first time that these departments have seen this information?
Yeah, because I was kind of working through it. Yeah, normally, we don't submit any information. Fine, those are the funds we use and bring it to commission.
But was this submitted with the agenda item information, the agenda package information?
No, this was not attached to the agenda at that time, yeah. Because I didn't have really all this that time. Because,
Okay.
We have deadline to get in like earlier and all that things. So, yeah.
2 months.
Because I want to make sure I'm bringing you the full information. So I had to do my homework.
Gotcha. So, Director, what is it that you're looking for here?
Just to verify the funding amounts and make sure that we agree with the source of the funds.
Okay.
I haven't seen this, so if he's saying the funding for discretionary goes through 2029, my concern would be that's 2 years after the project's completed.
So would you be able to find, like, say there's an issue with the funding, are you able to help locate other funding sources to be able to push this project along?
We'd have to take a look at that, but yeah, we would make an effort to do that, sir.
And you'll be able to do that by next committee cycle?
We will make that effort to make that happen. But
I mean, it's been 2 months, so I just really want to get something together so we can move forward.
I understand, sir, but I have not seen any of the documents.
I understand. But what I want to also get back to is that we said on April 29th to have this ready by this commission meeting, and it's not ready. And so, again, if we set a directive, I hope that we are following it through. Ms. Bonner, can you answer, when is our next committee meeting?
Tuesday after the 4th of July week. I don't have my calendar.
So that-
Tuesday.
Yeah, I think July 8th.
8th.
Okay, well, I will hope that we could get something ready for prime time, because again, you have residents, you have businesses, you have people waiting on this. And I'm just going to reiterate again, we had 2 months. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this on the 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Wayne Giffel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dr. Malik, I like the idea that you went above and beyond to reach out to E.R. Snell at the request of one of our colleagues to see what it would take to do 2 shifts. Now, doing 2 shifts, especially downtown on Broad Street, that's when it comes to life. That's when you're going to have people drinking and going down the road, and some of them don't even know what side of the road they're going to be going down. So we're going to be putting people at risk at that as well. So you asking for right at $13 million. You're using TIA discretionary money all the way up to money that we don't have all the way up to 2029 it's showing. We're using the Splosh 8 resurfacing allocation and then grading and drainage allocation and then the GDOT money at tune of $13 million, just so we could accelerate the schedule to work day and night. I think it's going to be a harder impact on the businesses downtown by doing that. But one thing I cannot figure out for the life of me is we're going to spend $13 million. They're going to work at night at a 40% production loss. Naturally, people don't work as hard as they do during the daytime as they do at night. It shows in here. We're going to increase their salary 8%, so they'll work at night, which I understand that per diem on that. But to spend $13 million when we have, I represent, 3, 7, 6, and 8. We've still got roads that needs to be paved. I appreciate you doing Hessemet Bing Road. I appreciate you doing Story Mill Road. But you had just came before us during the Splosh 9 meeting here about 3 hours ago and asking for $30 million for resurfacing. It's more than a third of it that you want to spend to accelerate a schedule, and I just can't comprehend that. Maybe there's something in there that I don't understand. We're spending money we don't have. We $8.5 million in the hole right now. We still got street lights. So the discretionary money, can it be used for anything? Yeah.
Dr. Malik, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So first question, the corridor will be in construction, so
Say that again?
that corridor will be in construction, even we use the regular schedule. So they're
Right.
not gonna move stuff nighttime. Still, those other inner lines gonna be blocked. So the impact will be minimum. Either, they keep working day and night or work, night or day, so once they start construction, they will be there, whether they work 8 hour or work 12 hour or 14 hour. So they will be there. The construction activity will have similar impact. The night shift always bring other safety concern, especially working in downtown, they have to do all this stuff. So the TIA program, TIA 2 is going all the way up to 32. And we already have very successful TIA 1, and one of the reason is CSRA, we were in Richmond County, Augusta was the guinea pig. We delivered the project as promised, and we deliver majority of the project at the local level on that, and that built a lot of confidence even with GDOT and everybody else. So yes, it's basically is to minimize the impact on everything else. That's been spread it out. So even if it's done in 28, as I say, there may be opportunity for other funds to come in, but it's in a relative term, it's 1.5 million. So as we go, we can look into other funds, but I don't foresee that, the TIA will go away. At least the Tier 2 has already been voted, all that, and as long as businesses are operating, sales tax collected, all other thing. The TIA has a very limited, or is a very restricted fund. It can be only used for the infrastructure, roadway projects, and
Whether it's paving any public roads, any county roads, would that be correct?
so that's we put into the resurfacing. So we are putting money into the resurfacing to that as we go. That's what 6.5 million I showed earlier. Is not all coming from SPLOST.
Right. I see that $5 million is what you have in hand from SPLOST 8 and from the GDOT. So you're going to be $8 million short on money you don't have that you want to spend. And how fast would this accelerate the schedule? 12 months, 18 months?
Yes, sir. So
how many months?
Yeah, it's 12 months.
12 months. So you're going to spend $1.1 million extra each month to pay a company to accelerate the schedule, right?
That's to minimize the impact of given where we are in the business corridor. That's what, all this is. So, again, is the planning, as that's what you call capital CIP. Even your SPLOST 9 is more or less CIP program. So you plan over the years and then deliver the project or services accordingly. So, it's not like you have to have money today to plan and start the project.
Right. So I guess this is going to go back to committee, which I appreciate this body doing. But Dr. Malik, every time that we speak, you don't have enough money, but we could find $13 million to accelerate a schedule. But we'll have further discussion the next time we have a committee cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Guilfoyle. Dr. Malik, in looking at the current projects, are we on schedule now with many of the projects, like in the 1300 block of Broad up near Kendrick Painting Body, where sometimes for weeks we don't see anybody? I know we had some underground infrastructure issues there. Are they on schedule now, working on their regular schedule, the contractors?
So they're a little bit behind, but they will catch up. As I say, we were struggling with the unsuitable material. Again, it's effort by the department to minimize the cost. So, there's several ways to address that. Dig it out all the way and put it back. That's very expensive, or come up with some others. So looking at all the options, and then we have to actually do the lab tests to how we can gain the same strength which we needed. So right now, we already passed through that. And right now, the schedule is to get it done by October. So it will open up the road. But moving from 13 onward, the road will be open, at least one lane on each direction. So we will not close the road.
So what would happen if we incur the same problems as we try to accelerate this project? If we're $13 million work at night, is there any risk of us perhaps getting delayed in the event we face unseen problems?
We are that segment from 15 to 13, what we call fold up. We're rebuilding the road from bottom up because that was the bad part of the road. From 13 onward, we're not going to be digging all the way down on that. Only thing we have to kind of deal with it, and we already had the plan, is the conflict with the water and sewer. So that's what one of the delay was, to get started, because we as a department want to make sure we did everything what we can do to minimize that conflicts and delays, all that, So it's a construction, there will be some unknown, but we did our best, but we're not going to be digging all the way to the bottom like we're doing there.
Okay, thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Johnson from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to address a few things. Number one, downtown is not, like an amusement park at night. people aren't driving all over the road. They're not swerving and losing consciousness. That kind of rhetoric it muddies what we're trying to do. So, I mean, I just want to put out for the record, that's not the case in downtown Augusta. I welcome anybody to come sit on my balcony and watch downtown Augusta with me sometimes, because that's not the case. The sheriff's office is doing good work. They're making sure that if anybody is drinking and driving, that is from one red light to the next. They catch you real quick. And so that's first. Secondly, I want to also just remind my colleagues that we instructed Dr. Malik to go bring this report back. So to say, well, you don't have any money, but now you can find it, we told him to go find it. We literally told him to go find it when the business owners were in the chambers asking for support. And then we also told them in the meeting that we went to that we were going to do whatever we could to help them. So this act of surprise or frustration is concerning to me, because we asked Dr. Malik to do this. And so what I also share, and then I'll yield the floor, is that this is not just to accelerate a project. It's not just to move a project fast. You have businesses in downtown Augusta who are literally afraid that they're going to close down because they're not going to be able to survive this project. So we can minimize this to just being throwing money at speeding up a project, but to folks who put their hard-earned money into their businesses on Broad Street, I think we owe it not only to them, but we owe it to the economic development of our city. You have a business owner today who couldn't come here because he had to go to the bank to try to figure some things out. So, I get that we have our own priorities and we see this as being extra money that we can perhaps use for other things. But, don't stand before downtown business owners and say, we're going to talk to this person and we're going to work with this person. And then when it comes to us having the ability to do it, we don't, because $13 million sound like a lot of money. Well, it is. But I mean, imagine business owners shutting down and you don't have a downtown Augusta. You try justifying that. And, last time I checked, downtown Augusta has one commissioner, and I lose sleep talking to these business owners about their issues. So, I know we're going to talk about this next committee meeting, but I hope we have all our ducks in a row by next week. Because if we keep kicking this thing down the road, we're not going to get anywhere with it. And that's my frustration and my fear. And I'm not speaking on behalf of myself. I'm speaking on behalf of the businesses that I talk to when I'm walking to work in the morning or when I'm walking back from having dinner. That's the real concern. And I welcome anybody to come downtown and talk to them with me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. All right, there's no one else in the queue. I think we have a direction that this is going to give us opportunity to have Interim Director Schreier and the Administrator to kind of vet the numbers. Dr. Malik, appreciate you presenting to us. And I guess right now we can just receive this as information without objection. Is that right, Madam Clerk? Any objection to receiving this as information? All right, there is a motion to move it forward to the next committee cycle. Commissioner committee. Jordan. Committee, to next committee.
Engineering Services.
Engineering Service Committee, and I have a second from Commissioner Brandon Garrett. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 11.
Sir?
Sure, considering item 11. Let's take a look. Oh, no. Let's consider.
Item number 2, and Mr. Guilfoyle asked that be pulled under public safety on the addendum.
Okay. All right, let's move to item number 2 on the addendum.
Item number 2, motion to approve a change order in the amount of $185,504.88 that will increase the net amount for bid item professional services for architectural and design services, new fire station number 3, awarded to Johnson LaShober and Associates.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Johnson and governing body. This item we have before you really is all-encompassing and allows us to see this project through the last and final phase. As you know, this project is in procurement currently. The change order incorporates many changes, some of which that really address the needs of the community. As you know, West Augusta is the fastest growing community in the city. And so the original design that was done, I believe, prior to SPLOST 7, we made some industry best practices incorporated into the design. It also addresses some health and well-being of our firefighters, as well as some operational and managerial changes that needed to be made. Also in it, it's included some challenges we face through the extensive soil remediation that needed to be done. Incorporate some of those changes made as we met those challenges. And I also have a representative here today from JLA to answer any technical questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Guilfoyle, you asked this item be pulled.
Chief Burden, as far as this, it's basically a change order.
Yes, sir.
All right, so the soil, this fire station number 3, Gordon Highway?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a year ago, 2 years ago, we had to pay for soil. Thank you. And so why are we having to pay more?
Yes, sir. So as I mentioned, it really incorporates all of those things, some design changes that needed to be made.
Chief, I don't mean to interrupt, but we already paid for the soil to be remedied a couple years ago, correct?
Just a second, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as I mentioned, it incorporates not only some challenges we face during the soil remediation, it also incorporates some much needed design changes to meet the needs of the community. It also incorporates the management of the project moving forward. So it's really all encompassing. A lot of the efforts and a lot of the funds that were set aside for design and all of those things was expended during that extensive soil remediation period.
All right, so the fire station we did on Gordon Highway, no, I mean Deansbridge Road, I apologize.
Yes, sir.
That was under your watch.
No, that was prior to my tenure.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
With these changes that we're doing, the update on station number 3, we added in 1,000 square foot. We put it in a 3 sleeping quarters. We put it in a another room, separate room just for the battalion chief with a separate bathroom. We're going to change out the quick release doors, which that should have been implemented anyway, shouldn't it?
Yes, sir. It really, and I talked about industry best practices. So you talked about sleeping quarters. Well, the station, though it will start off as a single house, but West Augusta is the fastest growing area in our community. And so when you build a facility meant for 50 years, it must be able to expand along with the community. So much needed changes there, much needed changes interior of the building to really address cancer initiatives and the health and well-being of our firefighters. And the battalion station really speaks to the managerial and operational needs of our department.
Okay. Explain this reimbursable expense paid by JLA as requested by the owner of $40,229.88. Would you explain that to me?
Yes, sir.
Afternoon, I'm Darren Prickett with JLA, 1296 Broad Street. So the reimbursable expenses, JLA paid those expenses on the city's behalf to keep the project moving quickly. We knew it was direly needed. We started designing the station in 2019, and one of the things we wanted to make sure we do, we kept the project going, was we took on the burden of paying those expenses for the city. We're just looking to get reimbursed.
What was the expenses that you did pay, sir?
I'm sorry?
The $40,000, what did that entail that you spent?
Geotechnical exploration by CSRA testing. So the soil borings to determine where the material was that was unsuitable.
Right.
We also had to have the geotechnical engineer on site to witness the material being removed and the material being replaced had to be witnessed by a geotechnical engineer. So they're on site almost daily during the work.
Okay, so JLA spent the $40,000 and we just reimbursing you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, there's a motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Francine Scott. Commissioner Garrett, you're in the queue, sir.
Thank you. This is one last question for the chief, please. This additional space that you're requesting, does it have anything to do with the ambulance service?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. So,
Or any of these requests from community members for a meeting space?
no, sir. So this facility will have a community room.
Was
built into
that
it.
part of the original?
That was part of the original design. It just limited our ability to, in a sense, add a double company. With growth in that area, you really need to be forward-thinking.
Do we have any other stations that are double companies?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We have 6 total
Gotcha.
throughout the city, but once again, with this being the fastest growing area in our city, and you're gonna build a facility to span the tide, then you really need to have it to where it can accommodate growth. If that makes sense. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, we'll have a motion in a second. We're prepared to vote. Motion for approval.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Plunkett.
Mr. Mayor, at this late hour, we request a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending and potential litigation, real estate, and personnel matters.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion by Commissioner Rice, and is there a second? Second by Commissioner Garrett, reluctantly. Madam Clerk, we're voting. Yeah, we got it. I think so. No, you can't adjourn because
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I know where we are. Thank you. Madam Clerk, I call this session back to order. Attorney Plunkett.
Mr. Mayor, we would request a motion to, for the mayor to execute the closed meeting affidavit.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion by Commissioner Garrett, second by Commissioner Rice. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
That motion carries with Mr. Johnson, Mr. Clark out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Plunkett, are there any motions as a result of our legal session?
There are two, sir. The first one, we request a motion to hire Aaron Pinnick as procurement director at a salary of $125,000 with a moving allowance not to exceed $10,000 and such other benefits as commensurate with such a position.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Mayor Pro Tempore Wayne Galefull, second by Commissioner Brandon Garrett. Seeing no colleagues in the queue, Madam Clerk, we're voting.
It's unanimous of those present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Plunkett.
Mr. Mayor, we would request a motion to extend the contract dated August 8th, 2025, as previously amended with James T. Plunkett and Plunkett, Hamilton, Manton, and Graves to serve as interim general counsel until December 31st, 2025, to amend the compensation provisions to provide that services provided James Plunkett and John Manton will be at an invoiced flat amount of $232,500 for the period of July 1 to December 31st, 2025, with other attorneys in that firm paid on an hourly basis.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion by Commissioner Rice and a second by Commissioner Wayne Galefull. Madam Clerk, seeing no colleagues in the queue for further discussion, we're voting.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I think that concludes our business. This meeting's hereby adjourned. Thank you.